You may not always feel it, but if you're a woman over 60, you are a masterpiece in motion. Every wrinkle is a brushstroke of wisdom. Every gray hair a silver thread in the story of your strength. This stage of life isn't about fading. It's about becoming luminous in ways the world may not always see, but you surely feel. Today, let's explore 10 heartfelt reasons why you, yes you, are an extraordinary woman in the most powerful chapter of your life. 1. You carry a lifetime of wisdom the world can't Google. In an age where answers are only a click away, you offer something that no search engine can replicate: lived experience. You've walked through decades of history, not just witnessing it, but feeling it, navigating its twists and turns with grace. From rotary phones to smartphones, from handwritten letters to instant messages, you've adapted, evolved, and absorbed the lessons of change. But it's not just the historical shifts you've lived through. It's the emotional terrain you've traversed. You've been the calm in a storm when your family needed it. The silent strength holding people together when others scattered. You've comforted, taught, sacrificed, and celebrated in equal measure. And through all of it, you didn't just survive. You grew deeper, wiser, more compassionate. The kind of woman who doesn't speak to be heard, but when she speaks, people listen. Because your words are not theory. They are truth wrapped in memory. Science now confirms what we've long suspected. Emotional intelligence increases with age. Older adults tend to have better regulation of emotions, greater empathy, and more stable perspectives on life. You are the living embodiment of that truth. Where others might react, you respond. Where others judge, you understand. That's the kind of wisdom that can't be taught in a classroom or downloaded from a podcast. It is cultivated through heartbreak, laughter, loss, love, and perseverance. So if you ever find yourself doubting your relevance in a fast-moving world, remember this. The world may move fast, but wisdom moves deep. And you, dear woman over 60, are an ocean of insight in a world too often caught in the shallows. 2. You've mastered the art of resilience, and it shows. Resilience isn't just about bouncing back. It's about the way you bend without breaking. The way you continue forward even when the path disappears beneath your feet. By the time you reach your 60s, life has already thrown a fair share of curveballs. Some expected, many not. You faced heartbreaks that reshaped your soul, losses that brought you to your knees, and quiet seasons where it felt like the world had moved on without you. And yet, here you are. That's not luck. That's strength. Resilience is a quiet kind of brilliance. It doesn't scream or demand attention. It's in the way you rise every morning even when sleep was hard to find. It's in how you smile at strangers when you're nursing your own worries. It's in the way you've learned to let go, not because it was easy but because holding on became too heavy. Every scar, every wrinkle, every silvery strand of hair tells a story of persistence, of staying true to yourself when others might have lost their way. And here's something extraordinary: research supports this. Studies show that women in later adulthood often experience what's known as stress-related growth, meaning the very struggles you've endured have likely made you more adaptable, emotionally intelligent, and deeply capable of weathering life's storms. You've become more than just a survivor. You're a sculptor of your own becoming, shaping meaning out of pain, creating hope where others saw only endings. In a culture obsessed with youthful energy, people sometimes forget to celebrate enduring energy, the kind that isn't loud but lasting. That's your kind, the endurance that isn't about running faster but walking further. That's resilience. And it's one of the most beautiful things about you. 3. You know who you are and you no longer apologize for it. There's something quietly powerful about a woman who's grown into herself. By the time you reach your 60s, you've likely stopped chasing perfection. You've stepped out of roles that once demanded you shrink, soften, or smooth over your truth just to keep the peace. The beauty of this stage is that the masks come off, not out of defiance, but from a deep understanding that being real is far more important than being liked. In your younger years, you might have hesitated before speaking your mind. You might have worried about being too much, too loud, too emotional, too opinionated. But now, you've seen too much, felt too deeply, and lived too fully to waste time being anything but authentic. You've earned the right to take up space without apology. And when you speak, whether gently or firmly, your words come from a place of lived clarity, not judgment but experience. You've learned to trust your intuition, even when others didn't understand it. You've stopped comparing yourself to anyone else because you finally understand your story is uniquely yours. No one has walked your path, carried your burdens, or celebrated your private victories. And that truth grants you the kind of confidence that can't be faked. Psychologists call this self-concept clarity, the ability to clearly understand who you are, what you value, and what you're not willing to compromise anymore. It's more common in later life, and it brings peace. Not because everything is perfect, but because you've made peace with imperfection. You've embraced the woman you are rather than mourn the one you thought you had to be. So when the world urges you to stay quiet or make yourself small, remember this: you've earned your voice. You've lived into it. And the woman you are today, the one who no longer apologizes for her presence, is a rare and radiant force. 4. You've turned letting go into an act of courage, not loss. At this point in life, you've said goodbye more times than you can count. To people, places, roles, and dreams that once felt permanent. And yet, each time you've let go, whether of a loved one, a home filled with memories, or an identity tied to a chapter that's now closed, you did it with quiet bravery. The kind that doesn't get applause but should. Letting go isn't weakness. It's one of the most courageous acts of emotional maturity there is. And you, dear woman, have done it again and again. Maybe you packed away a wedding dress that will never be worn again. Maybe you sold the family home, walking through each room one last time as echoes of the past whispered in your ears. Maybe you let go of a title, wife, mother, employee, and had to figure out who you were without it. That's not just bravery. That's transformation. Decluttering at this stage in life, for example, isn't just about space, it's a psychological reckoning, as researchers and therapists note. Every item you release is part of a sacred process, acknowledging that time has passed, chapters have ended, and you are still here, still evolving. Each goodbye has made room for a new beginning, even if it didn't feel like it in the moment. You've come to understand that not everything or everyone is meant to stay. And more importantly, you've learned that letting go doesn't erase the memory. It doesn't diminish the love. It doesn't undo the years. It simply frees you to live more fully now in the present, unburdened by what no longer serves your heart. So if ever you doubt your strength, remember this: most people hold on out of fear. But you've mastered the grace of release. And that, more than almost anything, is what makes you truly extraordinary. 5. You've learned that joy is not something to chase, it's something to notice. When you were younger, joy may have felt like a finish line, something to strive for. It lived in promotions, milestones, romantic gestures, or big moments captured in photographs. But now you know better. You've learned that true joy doesn't always make a grand entrance, it often whispers. It appears in quiet rituals, small triumphs, and the gentle rhythm of ordinary days. You've stopped waiting for happiness to arrive in some perfect package. You find it in the morning light spilling through your kitchen window, in the warmth of a well-worn sweater, in the familiar scent of your favorite tea. You know the richness of a phone call from an old friend, the beauty of a handwritten letter, the joy of watching birds dance outside your window, or the feeling of fresh sheets after a long day. These moments, once so easy to overlook, now feel sacred. And here's why this matters so deeply. Science backs it up. Research shows that older adults often report higher levels of daily contentment than their younger counterparts. Why? Because they've learned to focus on what matters. They practice something psychologists call positivity bias, a natural shift in attention toward beauty, gratitude, and meaningful connection as we age. And you, without even realizing it, are likely doing just that. You no longer equate happiness with busyness. You understand that peace isn't the absence of problems, it's the presence of perspective. You've found that some of the richest laughter comes after life's hardest seasons. That the most treasured memories aren't always planned, they're stumbled upon. And you've stopped asking joy to impress you. You simply invite it to join you however it arrives. That shift in awareness, in heart, in presence, that's not just age. That's grace. And you wear it beautifully. 6. You've discovered that presence is more powerful than perfection. In your earlier years, there may have been pressure to do everything just right. To be the perfect mother, daughter, partner, friend. To host the flawless holiday dinner. To look polished, composed, and endlessly capable, even when you were unraveling inside. But somewhere along the way, you stopped chasing the impossible. You learned that being present, truly present, is far more valuable than being perfect. You've come to understand that people don't remember whether your house was spotless or if dinner was 5 minutes late. What they remember is how you made them feel. Whether you looked them in the eye, whether your arms felt safe, whether you really listened when they spoke, or if your laughter was genuine. The gift you now offer the world isn't performance, it's presence. And it's rare. Psychologists and social researchers have found that as women age, they often become more emotionally attuned, not less. They listen more deeply, speak more intentionally. They become what some call emotional anchors in their families and communities. Not because they control every situation, but because they bring calm, clarity, and a sense of what truly matters. That's who you are now. The one people call when they don't know what to do. The one who doesn't always have the answers, but knows how to make space for the question. You've also learned to forgive yourself more easily. To sit with discomfort instead of fleeing from it. To offer your full attention instead of your flawless performance. You understand that a meaningful moment doesn't need a filter. It just needs your open heart. So if you've ever wondered whether you're still making a difference, let this truth settle in: your presence is the difference. In a world that's rushed, distracted, and striving, your calm, caring, and perfect presence is a sanctuary. 7. You've become a lighthouse, steady, quiet, and guiding others home. At this stage of life, you may not always feel visible in the ways you once were. The spotlight may have moved on to the younger generation. But that doesn't mean your influence has faded. In truth, it has only deepened. You are no longer the wave chasing the shore, you are the lighthouse standing firm, offering light when others lose their way. Your family may not say it out loud, but they look to you for emotional steadiness. When uncertainty creeps in, your voice is the one they call. When traditions need to be upheld or wisdom needs to be offered, it's your presence they crave. You carry the history of your lineage, the emotional memory of your family. You remember who people were before they were tired, before they were wounded. And that remembering is powerful. Even beyond family, you carry a kind of wisdom that so many young people long for in today's fast, fragmented world. While they're scrolling and racing and trying to figure it all out, you offer something different, a sense of pace, of patience, of perspective. You know that not every fire needs to be put out right away. Not every decision needs to be perfect. You've learned to wait, to watch, to respond rather than react. Research shows that older women often become emotional anchors in communities, trusted for their insight, valued for their discernment. You may no longer be chasing achievements, but you're offering something far more enduring: calm in chaos, perspective in panic, light in darkness. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to run to lead. You simply need to be who you are, a woman who's lived, who's weathered the storms, and who now shines not in spite of them, but because of them. 8. You've learned the beauty of boundaries and how to protect your peace. In your younger days, saying yes might have felt like a responsibility. You said yes to invitations, to obligations, to roles that often stretched you thin. You gave your time, your energy, and your heart because that's what strong women do. And while your strength hasn't changed, your wisdom has. Now you understand something far more powerful. Peace is not a luxury, it's a right. And protecting it begins with boundaries. Boundaries aren't walls. They're not cold or distant. They're gentle, loving lines you draw to preserve your well-being. And after 60, you've likely grown tired of apologizing for needing space, rest, or quiet. You know how precious your energy is. You know how quickly the wrong conversation, the wrong commitment, or the wrong relationship can drain you. So you've learned to pause. To say no without guilt. To say not now without shame. And most of all, to say yes, only when it comes from the heart. This is not selfish. It's soulful. Modern psychology affirms what you've discovered through experience, that boundary setting is one of the most essential skills for emotional health, especially in later life, when your focus shifts toward meaning, simplicity, and time well spent. You've realized that your presence is a gift and not everyone is entitled to it. That you are allowed to outgrow people, places, and patterns that no longer nourish you. Now your peace is your compass. You seek joy without chaos, connection without confusion, stillness without loneliness. And you're no longer afraid to protect that hard-earned serenity with the quiet strength only time can teach. So if you've noticed that your circle is smaller but your soul feels lighter, know this, that's growth. That's grace. That's the power of a woman who finally knows how to hold space for herself. 9. You've redefined beauty on your own terms and it radiates from within. For decades, the world tried to tell you what beauty was. It whispered through magazine covers, television screens, and fleeting trends that youth was the golden standard. That beauty was skin deep, smooth, and easily packaged. And perhaps at times you believed it. Perhaps you spent years chasing that illusion, adjusting your mirror, your style, even your smile. But not anymore. Now standing in your 60s and beyond, you see beauty differently. You feel it in your bones, in your breath, in the way you walk into a room with presence, not pretense. You know that beauty has nothing to do with the absence of lines and everything to do with the presence of life. You've stopped asking your body to look younger and started thanking it for carrying you through storms. Through births and goodbyes. Through long nights and quiet mornings. And the irony is this, as you've let go of trying to meet the world's standards, you've become more radiant than ever. Because true beauty, real, enduring beauty is rooted in authenticity. In warmth. In confidence. It's in the way you comfort others with a glance. The way your eyes hold 1,000 unspoken stories. The softness of your voice when you speak from experience. The grace with which you wear your age, not as something to be concealed, but something to be celebrated. Studies show that as women age, they often report feeling more confident in their appearance, not less. Not because they fit society's mold, but because they've finally broken free from it. They no longer dress or speak or live for approval. They live for truth, for meaning, for themselves. You are no longer decorating yourself to impress. You are expressing who you truly are. And that is a kind of beauty that cannot be bottled, edited, or defined by anyone else. 10. You've embraced your purpose, not as a title, but as a presence. By the time a woman reaches her 60s, many of the roles that once defined her begin to shift. Perhaps the children are grown. The job has ended. The house is quieter. For some, this change brings a sense of loss. For others, a sense of freedom. But for you, it has brought something even deeper, clarity. You've come to understand that purpose isn't tied to productivity. It's not just what you do, it's who you are when you simply are. Your purpose is in the way you show up. The way you listen without needing to fix. The way you share your stories, your silence, your hard-earned wisdom. You no longer measure your worth by how much you accomplish, but by how much light you bring to the people around you. And make no mistake, your presence is powerful. When you sit with someone in their grief without rushing them to feel better, that's purpose. When you pass down a recipe, a tradition, or piece of family history, that's purpose. When you walk through your day slowly, noticing beauty others miss, you're modeling a way of living that this world desperately needs. In this season of life, your purpose may not wear a name tag or a business card. It may not come with applause. But it is felt in the peace you carry, the love you offer, the steadiness you provide. You are a living archive of resilience, compassion, and grace. You don't need to go searching for meaning, you are the meaning. Just as you are. Research in gerontology confirms that older adults who feel a sense of purpose live longer, healthier lives. But what they often discover is what you already know. Purpose isn't found in striving. It's found in being. In loving. and choosing each day to leave behind something gentle, strong, and real. So when someone asks, "What do you do now?" smile softly. You are no longer just doing. You are becoming. You are being. And in that, you've found your truest, most lasting purpose. If this message touched you, inspired you, or made you reflect on your own journey, please consider subscribing to the channel and giving this video a like. It helps more women like you find messages of hope, strength, and belonging.